Hey Suburban Psychics, welcome back. This week's question is from Annie. And Annie asks, why did I get hemorrhoids? So, clearly there's no such thing as too much information for Suburban Psychic. I love that she's asked this question because a condition like hemorrhoids, something nobody talks about, and yet who hasn't been stressed at some point in their life and been inflicted with these little buggers? I don't think there's an adult alive that hasn't had the dreadful experience and the burden and the pain of this condition. See, I can't even say the word myself. So I love that she's asking this question because obviously you're going to do with any physical condition the topical things you need to do. You're going to get to your doctor, you're going to go to the chemist, you're going to treat the symptoms, but get to the cause. Get to the cause. And this is all first chakra stuff. So it's family and groups and feeling safe and secure in the world. And that family could be a home family, it could be a work family, it could be a friend family. But it's you managing to be safe and secure as an individual whilst meeting the needs of a group. And that's a really dicey balancing act sometimes. It's really hard. And especially with a family or a group that we want to remain a part of. We don't want to just every time somebody upsets us or pisses us off, walk away and start again. That just really doesn't work. So we need to learn how to manage our safety and security within groups and with other people's behavior. So this is a really important question. And that's just like a broad overview for hemorrhoids as a condition. But we want to get beneath the surface and see what triggered Annie, because we all get stressed regularly. We don't get hemorrhoids every time we get stressed. So we want to know some information about what really set her body off. And even though it's first chakra stuff, we can kind of retrofit the condition. So we can go, okay, if I have this condition, in order for that to manifest, something had to go wrong with the plumbing. Two things really. Something had to go wrong with the plumbing in order for me to kind of like get stopped up, have to put more pressure on that zone. Therefore, those poor little delicate blood vessels are going to burst. But also, taking back a step before that, so something had to go in the mouth, something had to get eaten to affect the plumbing. So we turn to things that are just not good for us when we're stressed, but we turn to them anyway. Lots of floury products, and flour and water, that's glue. So we're having that nice little biscuit there, but we're kind of introducing glue to our system. That doesn't help. But also there's what goes in your mouth and what you eat, but there's what goes in here and what's going on in here. So for example, if you're not managing your stress during these situations, then your cortisol levels are going to go through the roof. We're starting to then look at things like insulin resistance and belly fat and all sorts of chemical and hormonal reactions through your body. So we can work our way backwards and go, what thought or emotion set me off down this path of developing this condition? And that's what we want to do specifically for Annie and find out what her specific triggers were. So going to the table, I've got my beautiful wooden tray that I bought in Tasmania earlier this year for my crystals, about 70 odd crystals on that tray. I've got my books on all of the body systems, the Annette Noontal and the Louise Hay stuff, the Mona Lisa Schul's stuff, the stuff by Cindy Dale, and my oracle that I'm building on Pinterest. I haven't touched it for a while though, called This Is an Oracle. That's the Pinterest board of mine. And you'll see a shot of this, what's on my table, at the end of this video. It's my outro slide. But I'm not going to anything on the table right now, so we'll go to everything that's behind us, see what we can find there. Well, straight away, I really want the Seventh World Tarot deck by Terry Widborn. I can't take my eyes off that. We're going to have that. Oh, okay. The Call, Orion Mountain Dreamer. We had this recently. Oh well, we'll see what this one's got for Annie. And oh, this is a real surprise. what I'm using mostly as an oracle, these 3 shelves are all my really favourite things, favourite books, favourite tarot decks. There's a heap more that I can't even get into this screenshot. But what's on the bottom couple of shelves of this bookshelf are fiction books, and I cannot take my eyes off this book here, Harry Potter, The Prisoner of Azkaban, J.K. Rowling. So I don't know what Harry's got for us, but I reckon it's going to be good. All right, so our first one, the Seventh World Tarot deck. And with tarot decks, what you can do is, if you haven't used one before, you can give it a good shuffle, spread everything out, and then choose whichever cards you're drawn to. You can give it a shuffle and let perhaps a card fall out, and then see what that has for you. There's a whole bunch of ways. There's no real rules with using this tool, so just have a play around with it. Oh, having said that, something's fallen out for us. We've got, oh, okay, great, the King of Pentacles. Now I've got over a dozen tarot decks here, and the beauty of that is, even though there's a fundamental principle to this guy, each tarot deck provides their own interpretation, their own little nuance, which is why I don't just look at this and go, King of Pentacles means blah. I don't want to reply in a rote fashion. I want to actually intuitively be drawn to somebody else's specific interpretation, because that's going to provide, as an oracle, the best information for Annie. So if we get the booklet out, and Terry Widborn is an illustrator who I met at Sydney Writers Festival a couple of years ago. I run the Writers Green Room there most years, probably not this year because I'm going to Mexico just before, but I loved his stuff. And then when I found out he'd done a tarot deck, I just had to have it. So this is Terry's deck. If we go through in the booklet, Pentacles. Okay, here we go, King of Pentacles. Tiny book, tiny writing. I'm going to have to hold it like a foot from me, even with my glasses on. The King denotes a mature male. The King of Pentacles is competent, intelligent, and responsible. An authority figure who is associated with security, business success, and positions of power. He is generous, patient, and loyal. And his achievements have been won by his own merit. What a great character. I feel, rather than pointing to a person, some tarot readers would say that this is actually referring to a man. I feel that this is actually referring to those qualities within you, Annie. I feel that it's drawing your attention to yourself and asking you to connect with the parts of yourself that are competent, intelligent, responsible, an authority figure, your own position of power. But he is also generous, patient, and loyal. Generous, patient, and loyal. And I think when we're in stressful situations, as I imagine you've been, to get this condition, this bodily condition, that it's pretty hard. You're going to remain competent and intelligent through anything, but it's pretty hard to remain generous and patient and loyal. And I feel that this oracle is asking you to find those qualities within yourself to get you through this situation. So that's a great first oracle. I love it. The next one, The Call by Araya Mountain Dreamer. You probably know her name from The Invitation. I've got the book up here as well, but The Invitation, that was that terrific poem that went viral donkeys years ago on the internet. And it's kind of like, you know, I don't care what's going on for you on the surface. I want to know what's happening really. I want your authenticity. And so she became really popular that way. And The Call is one in a series of 3 books that she put out. The third one was The Dance. But this one, let's just see where we're drawn to today. So I've gone straight to page 115. I'm going to make a note of this. 115. Because afterwards I'll blog this, so that if this book really sounds interesting to you, you can go to the blog post, click on the image, and then you can go over to Amazon and get a copy for yourself, you know, Kindle or whatever works for you. So go to the blog post afterwards if you want more information. That's where I'll also put down any specific quotes or words or lines that jump out to me from the oracles. So we've got down here 115, and I'm going straight to the middle of the page, And it says, the smell makes me want to turn my face into my pillow and take shallow breaths. The smell, okay. She's talking about suddenly noticing a strange smell in the room. Like the bitter smell of ether, just barely covered with the scent of overripe apples, or the cloying odor of an unwashed body, almost buried beneath the strong fragrance of expensive perfume. That's not very nice. It is sweet, too sweet, and it makes my stomach turn. As the smell gets stronger, my mouth is flooded with an acidic taste that makes me swallow, a metallic taste, like the one you get when your fork touches a filling in a tooth, or when you bite down on a piece of aluminium foil accidentally left on a piece of chocolate. Well, I'd hoover that down. I wouldn't. If it's chocolate, I'm not going to notice a bit of foil. The temperature in the room suddenly feels cooler. Shivering slightly, I snuggle down into the covers and pull my blanket up over my chin. And then I hear the voices in my mind's ear. Like the scent, they too are sweet, too sweet, as if deliberately seeking to hide something unpleasant, even as they offer comfort. Oh, Annie, that's yours. This sweet, cloying mask that's put on, and like the scent, they are sweet, too sweet, as if deliberately seeking to hide something unpleasant, even as they offer comfort. That's yours. I don't know what situation was going on for you to ask this question, but somewhere in your life there have been people who, and it's first chakra stuff, so it's family, group, so home family, your relatives, work family, friend family, and within one of those groups, or more than one of those groups even, there are individuals who are they're insincere, and even as they're providing comfort, you can there's this mask hiding who they really are, and you can see straight through it, and that's providing or triggering enormous discomfort for you, I feel. We do know people like this who, you know, they're all nice on the surface, but their words are just so shallow and hollow, and we can, you know, if you're empathic, you can see straight through it, and it's terribly distressing to see someone's insincerity so clearly. I sometimes would rather be blind to that and just take what's coming, you know, on the surface and not actually be able to see beneath it. Somebody's false facade, false sincerity, false comfort, and their sweetness is a bad smell when you can see through it that way. So this is, Oracle is pointing out to you that someone's doing that around you, and you can see straight through it, and it's not pretty, it's not nice, and it's making you terribly uncomfortable. And therefore, I would say, get back to this. Get back to this. Draw on these qualities in yourself. Remain strong, patient, competent, intelligent, generous. All of those things in the face of this person or persons' insincerity at a time when you probably need them to be sincere and to be comforting, and they're not. They're being false friends, false comfort. We'll get to the last one now, and I'm dying to see what Harry Potter could possibly have for us. J.K. Rowling, love her work. She has brought such joy back into reading, brought magic back into people's lives. And I don't care if she's a schoolionaire. I think she deserves every cent for the sheer entertainment that she's delivered. She's an amazing storyteller, and she was just the right thing at the right time, and I've loved all of her work. I've even loved her work afterwards as Robert Galbraith. She's a great storyteller. I think she's fantastic. So we're just going to allow ourselves to be intuitively drawn. I'm going to make a note here. Harry, Azkaban. And I've gone to page 121. There's not much on it, so why don't we just read what's there? Because I am just being drawn straight to the top. You know, if I was just drawn to the bottom, I would ignore the top, but nope. My eyes pulled back and pulled back here, so this is for us. It says, "You'll be lucky," said a cackling voice. It was Peeves, the poltergeist, bobbing over the crowd and looking delighted, as he always did, at the sight of wreckage, or worry? Sounds a little bit like our last person, our last oracle, doesn't he? What do you mean, Peeves? Said Dumbledore calmly, and Peeves grinned, faded a little. He didn't dare taunt Dumbledore. Instead, he adopted an oily voice that was no better than his cackle. Ashamed, your headship, sir. Doesn't want to be seen. She's a horrible mess. Saw her running through the landscape up on the 4th floor, sir, dodging between the trees. Crying something dreadful, he said happily. Poor thing, he added unconvincingly. Did she say who did it? Said Dumbledore quietly. Oh yes, Professor Head, said Peeves, with the air of one carrying a large bombshell in his arms. He got very angry when she wouldn't let him in, you see. Peeves flipped over and grinned at Dumbledore from between his own legs. Nasty temper he's got, that Sirius Black. What an unpleasant character. And right on the top of this whole, false sweetness, false comfort, and then we get this guy. Annie, this oracle could not be stronger for you. I love that of all the books and of all the passages. This is amazing and this is awesome. We all know people like this who talks about something terrible, like he says she's crying something dreadful. He said happily. Poor thing, he added unconvincingly. It's this false concern. It's this complete lack of empathy for somebody else and what they're going through. We all know people like this. We have them in the groups we're in, and it's really hard to feel safe and secure around people like that when we know they don't care, they don't have compassion, they don't have empathy or sympathy. They put on this false front and this false concern. Oh, you poor thing. But they don't mean it. And you can see Annie straight through it. And I'm sorry, no wonder you're stressed and uncomfortable and being triggered by this. I heard Sonia Choquette speaking recently, and she talked about, she put it into words for me so beautifully, a situation she'd been in where she was kind of walking on eggshells around somebody. They were like a time bomb that she never knew when they were going to go off. One minute they're, her friend, the next minute, blah, they explode. And the trouble was, she was exhausted from trying to rise above their behavior all the time. And I'm sure that's what's happening for you right now, Annie. You must be exhausted and stressed from trying to rise above their behavior in a situation that's clearly already difficult, or all of this stuff wouldn't be coming up. And I want you to hear that the same way I heard those words of Sonia Choquette, and I straight away went to a situation in my life where I'm around somebody who's a bit of a time bomb. And I don't know whether I'm walking into a pleasant day or whether I'm walking into getting my head ripped off. And it's exhausting. It's freaking exhausting. Firstly, to deal with the tension of not knowing what you're going to get, and not being able to just let your guard down and relax around these people. But it's exhausting to rise above their behavior, because these kind of people are incredibly manipulative. If you try to call them out on the way they're behaving, they try to make it about you. If you say, wow, you're being insincere or something, suddenly, Annie, you're the bitch. You're the bitch who won't play happy families and let everything just sit on the surface, and have all of this garbage swept under the very nice rug. And it can be incredibly stressful to be that person. So please draw on your kingly strength. The King of Pentacles resides in you. Your competence, your intelligence, your strength, your generosity, your patience. Whether you turn any of those qualities onto anybody else, turn those qualities onto you. Turn those qualities onto you. Be patient for you and with you. Be generous to you. And that's what is going to help you release these uncomfortable physical symptoms. These symptoms have shown up to get this message to you. I love what's come out of the Oracle today. We are connected. And how connected is Annie that Harry Potter could provide a passage that was so pertinent and so beautiful. Trust that you're connected, and therefore ask the right questions, because the question you ask has the capacity to move you forward or to keep you stuck. So please ask the right questions and trust that connection that you obviously have. I think that's it for today. Please consider subscribing. You don't have to watch it every week, but from time to time allow yourself to be drawn back. There might be exactly the kind of message that you need to hear, the same way I needed to hear Sonia Choquette's words the other day that really articulated something that was going on for me that I couldn't articulate for myself. So please consider subscribing. So, my little suburban psychics, what's your question?